G'day, it's AJ. Got a question for you. Are you speaking to the dumbest person in the room? Or could you elevate your conversations, your information, to speak to the smartest in the room? Curious question. And I'm not talking about being an elitist leader here. I'm not talking about standing on an ivory tower and talking down at people, at your employees. What I am talking about, though, is a famous quote by a lawyer who once said in preparing his closing arguments that he was always sure to speak to the smartest juror on the jury, that he wouldn't dumb down his closing argument in order to make it accessible for everyone. And when you think about it, most of our newspapers, magazines, and popular culture information these days are written for a 12 to 14-year-old reading age. So it's to make sure that the vast majority of the population can consume and understand that information. But is that making us smarter or not so smart as a race, as humans, and in your organisation? So as the leader, it's really important that you set the tone for excellence. It is really important that you're relatable and that people can communicate and connect with you. And it's also important that you set the tone for the level of excellence that you want to see happening in your organisation. So are you always dumbing down your messages? Are you making the plain speak too much? You know, I believe that we can often use less words and use plain language to communicate clearly and succinctly. But quite often there are maybe some technical terms, or perhaps there is a unique word in English or other language, whatever you're speaking, that really describes what you're talking about well, but is a more advanced term. Use that. Be prescriptive and descriptive. Be accurate. It's super important. I love it when I find or discover or hear a word that I haven't heard before. I'm more likely to go and Google it, look it up, work out what it means, understand how it fits in that context. Because all too often, as we leave school and begin on our journey into employment, education, beyond that initial learning, we often find that as adults, we don't stretch and grow a lot. And there's not a considered way that we do that. Except in the workplace. The workplace is a real opportunity for people to continue to build their strengths, to grow and to understand how they can better serve and be of service and add value to the world. And one of those ways is through becoming smarter, becoming more intellectual, learning more, appreciating more, even building empathy more. And all of these things come from being stretched and expanded, not from having stuff dumbed down. So if you find maybe you've got a speech writer or a script writer because you're in a senior executive level position, well, maybe it's time you wrote that yourself, or you articulated things in the way that makes sense to you. All communication, it's important to ensure that it lands with the listener and that they understand it. So I'm not suggesting that you write or speak in a way that's completely alien or unattainable for others. And often when I work with specialists, technical people, doctors and people, I might suggest some of their language needs some explanation because it could be a medical term, a technical term. And yet I'll still offer that they use that and provide some explanation, because in doing so, it stretches and grows their people. So where could you be speaking to the smartest juror in the room? Are you elevating your conversations to stretch and grow your people? Or are you keeping them small and writing to the 12 and 14-year-olds in the room? It's up to you.